Carlotta Flores is on there, and Rick Grinnell.
And there's some good people on there. I agree
Alberto
with that.
Moore and Jonathan Payton and Jody Bain, and there's some folks that have gone on there that.
Well, don't think I said all good people. Now, here's the thing. So Donovan Durband, the guy used to be the head of the Downtown Alliance for a decade.
Right.
Then what happened was, again, it's a tough job. I've talked about it with him a zillion times. It's a tough job where you get money. There's this thing called the TIF. Not the TIF, sorry. BID. I'm getting there. Business Improvement District. It's an extra tax on these poor people who are business owners in downtown Tucson, and it goes to this quote nonprofit that basically is supposed to provide security and marketing. And
so
blah,
if you're
blah, blah.
downtown, you have an extra property tax that goes into a bucket,
right?
And that bucket, when Donovan ran it, was to power wash the streets and put up security and do the downtown Saturday nights and those kind of things, right?
You are correct.
So it's there to protect and help and
promote downtown, right? You are correct. But what problem is that you've learned is.
And then Donovan gets let go. We got to talk about this part.
I'm getting there.
Right.
I'm building up to that. What happens is that when you do that job, you become friends with your owners, these business owners downtown, and you've learned that you start becoming. They look to you as an advocate for them in relation to the things that make it tough to make their business go.
Right.
So, Joe, what's the number one entity on the planet that makes it tough on the downtown business owner?
Tucson, City of Tucson.
Thank you very much. And who distributes the bid money? Who holds the purse strings to the money that supplies your thing?
I'm going to go with City of Tucson.
Thank you very much. Ding, 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 ding,
Thank
ding.
you, Alex.
So then what happens is Hein wants to change it, they redo it and whatever, so they basically create this new thing called the Downtown Partnership, and they have Shrek come in, Glenn Lyons, who's just a wasteoid, just a waste of time. He's supposed to be this big real estate expert and blah, blah, blah. And, ever since he took over, the place starts looking worse. I mean, walking downtown before my TCC meeting, those sidewalks are disgusting. It's disgusting down there right now. So what happens is they make Donovan number 2. Then what happens is they push Donovan out for Nina Trasoff's chief of staff's wife, Cara Renee, to take his job. She's working at part-time at $60,000.
Right.
At the same time, Glenn Lyons.
The reason that the whole downtown partnership, or the original thing that Donovan was running, went away was they wanted more control. So it moves back to the control of all the lawyers that we've been talking about, all these oddball names who've been messing it up for the last 10 years.
Larry Hecker, Steve Lynn, Lisa Lavallo, the same old folks that we talk about that are in all these little pies, they control the Downtown Partnership Board. This is what we're talking about. You guys
Donovan gets axed out, ends up over at Steve Kozachik's office.
But there's even a little story before Steve Kozachik. Right. So here's the best part. This is the great irony of all of this. Donovan, for a year or so, worked for the U.S. Census Bureau. Needed a gig. Got to pay some bills. And, of course, they were, 3 years ago, whatever it was.
Counting heads.
You were counting heads. So he was doing that, and he was a supervisor for the Census Bureau. Well, during that time, I told you, we said this at the beginning, Donovan has that sick passion for one of the worst things you can have a passion for in Tucson, Arizona, downtown Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so
very much like Herb. If you listen to Herb on Fridays and talks about movies, he has a passion for the Fox theaters and making. These are folks that are just they want to see it work.
But it's one of the most polluted areas of Tucson politically,
right?
And that's a tough part, and it's easy to get painted in the broad stroke of all the crap of all the cronies downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what he was doing while he was, and I'm friends with Donovan. This is full disclosure. I know him well. Mm-hmm. And I've worked with Donovan on some stuff in relation to downtown and trying to help those guys down there. He was working with the state legislature at the time to try to get a new Rio Nuevo board put in to replace the crappy one that had Jeff DiGregorio, the Mocha Babe, Dan Ekstrom. You hear the name come up again, kids? Do you get that one? And Vic Soltera, who was a state representative from South Tucson, who basically owes his political career to
Dan Ekstrom.
Thank you very much. Getting there, Ekstrom.
Where's that chalkboard, Glenn Beck?
Oh, this is way chalkboard. So Donovan actually worked with all these state legislators that are coming in, and Frank and all these guys.
If you remember, there was a period of time where they were going to pull the money.
Yep.
So instead of pulling the money and watching the dream go away, Donovan says, hey, let's put some oversight in here. Let's get some folks in there. All back channel, not part of his job or career. He just wanted to make it successful.
I'm telling you.
That's the funny part, right?
So what happens is, they create this new board that's made up of some good people, But then you see these weird maneuvers get done. Okay, you want to go break?
Yeah, let's break because this is cliffhanger you because it gets kind of fun from here.
Does it get?
This
really
is where
fun
the
here?
dots start connecting.
All
This
right,
is the fun part.
7-9. This is your Rio Nuevo school lesson, children.
So if anybody out there is a Rio Nuevo board member and would like to call every other Rio Nuevo board member to kind of pay attention to this next segment, would be the time to do
send
so.
your texts out. So
Yeah.
if you want to get on
The guys are talking about you.
790-2040 is the phone number. Wake up
Here's a
Tucson
little
at
hint. It has to do
gmail.com.
with lawyers and conflicts of interest. That's a little hint for you. Consistent theme we talk about a lot on this show. Back room. Here we go.
Are we shining a light on backroom deals?
We're shining a light, Chris. Turn that light on.
Wake up Tucson, 10:30. KVUI The Voice.
Shining a light on backroom politics and the good old boys. It's Wake Up Tucson with Joe Higgins and Christy Simone on AM 1030 KVOI The Voice. Big guests, 3 big hours. Dennis Miller, evening 7 to 10 on 1030 KVOI The Voice.
6:51 in the morning. Chris and Joe, the ongoing saga of Rio Nuevo. So now, Joe, we had a cliffhanger.
All right. So Donovan Durband was downtown partnership for a long downtown whatever. Became chief of staff with Steve Kozacek. Worked real hard to get the new panel set at Rio Nuevo.
Yep.
So there'd be some accountability and it could continue on. You know, there's some debate whether you should just let it die or continue it, but Donovan wanted to keep it going. That's his passion. So this morning article comes out by Rob Odell, basically saying Donovan may have a conflict of interest. The attorneys are looking into this. Well, let's talk about conflict of interest, Chris.
You are correct.
Because there is one treasurer from Rio Nuevo named Allan Willenbrock, who we know very well.
Yes.
And Allan came on this show and a few other radio shows and started talking disparagingly against the hotel.
Yes.
Remember the $200 million hotel? Hey, it might not work. The numbers don't pencil. Maybe not the right time. I'm not seeing it. So immediately, within the next few days, all of a sudden, lawyers start looking into conflict of interest for Allan Willenbrock,
Yep.
who's in the financial business, and that's the background.
Sure.
So this conflict of interest thing, all it takes is a lawyer to write a letter to say there might be a conflict of interest. Based on what I'm reviewing here, we could have a problem.
Yep.
So all of a sudden you're out. That's
You
the
are
way,
correct.
That's the way this works. And he was a sound vote against the hotel. Now this was before when the hotel was really rolling through. So now what is the conversation they're having with this guy?
One
With
last thing
Donovan?
on Willenbrock, of course, is each one of you need to kiss Willenbrock's butt for coming out this strong and with real meat and facts to tell you the hotel deal was a dog. A freaking dog.
How many hotels are bankrupt right now, Chris?
Lots.
Right. And we're sticking duct tape on the TTC, and we're going to build a $200 million Taj Mahal right next door to it.
You are
to
correct.
sell the TCC.
You are correct.
I mean, come on.
No, so here's the other thing. So Willenbrock gets pushed out. Now, you're 2 lawyers for Rio Nuevo up until the FBI. I love it.
Yeah, Bobby Gigino retires, quits the board as the attorney the day the FBI opens the investigation.
And he's done a lot of work with?
Jody May.
Yes.
Yeah, and their company Transwest in downtown.
You
So
are-
there's some questionable conflicts even there that
And
may possibly, potentially exist.
We like Carrie Sylvan personally. She's
Right.
imagining greater things, as we like to say. But she works for Cy Shore at Lewis and Roca. Cy Shore, basically, Bob Walk Up. I mean, you can't get more connected in all this stuff
Right.
than Cy Shore.
If you want to get something done in the city of Tucson, you hire Cy Shore. Because
Yep.
he's got the pipeline over to the
So what happened
gate.
was they need the hotel done. Walk Up needs the hotel done. Cy Shore says, blah, blah, blah. This gets done. You write your opinion piece. There goes Willenbrock.
Goodbye, Allan. Right.
So you already talked about Jody Bain and Gugino with
Yeah,
Ken West.
you know, there should be some digging into that a little bit.
I think there should be.
Yeah.
At the same time, in this article, we have Mark Irvin, vice chairman, acknowledged he voted on $18 million in contracts that included Sun Construction, even though he works as a broker for property that the company owns here.
Ooh. You know, the hard part is everybody's kind of got a conflict, Chris. Which conflicts do you push out and say this is a conflict? And which ones do you turn your head and say,
Let
hey,
me tell
we're
you
all connected
something. It's
somehow.
bullcrap because you can go find people who have similar skill sets that are not involved with downtown real estate. How about that? There's got to be
It's a
someone
small
out there.
town, Chris. I mean, can't we all just have relationships somehow?
Why can't we
hire
all
some-
just get along?
Come on,
How about
Chris.
that? All right.
Watch the lawyers. telling you, watch the lawyers. The lawyers is where it's happening. That's where the action's moving. Whether it's, I heard Bruce Ash and John Munger yesterday on Emil's show or Saturday. They called it soft corruption. It's not direct, here's my money, do my vote. It's very soft. It's, I'm going to support your campaign, this lawyer hired here. It's that kind of stuff that we need to keep our eyes on, folks.
So these guys, they've been having this job offer out there forever. This job description's been on the website. Rio Nuevo Executive Director. Peyton verbalizes, I think it was Peyton says, I'm sick of doing all this. Can we go get an executive director? We're spending too much time doing the work of an executive director. And there's probably a lot of truth to that. Mm-hmm. So they put out, so they get 3, I don't know, they had like 3 applications. I don't know, maybe a few more.
3, yeah.
And so they vote on it. They come in, they pick Donovan as the guy, and then they have a 5-4 vote to approve it. So now they said, look, this is in the beginning of May. Then by Memorial Day, we need to have a contract to this guy, and let's get going with our lives. And then for some reason, what's happening is the lawyers, again, back to your lawyers again, your lawyers are coming up with some sort of potential conflict of interest because they say he's a city employee. Some people have made that he's been a long-time city employee. Well, he's not. He's only been, just since he's worked for Steve as an aide.
Since 2009, yeah.
All right. So
Steve hired him because he's now in charge of Rio Nuevo as his district.
Right.
And he wanted someone with a history there that could help navigate the pool.
You are correct. Well, first and foremost, Donovan, and the reason why I thought he was a good choice is politically, he has all the really good connections. He has good relationships with both sides of the wagon. He has good relationships with your entrenched Democrats, and he has good relationships with the state legislature, which I think there's 2 things about Rio Nuevo.
And the downtown business.
It's politically and financially.
Right.
So either you hire, get some, financial gurus. I don't know if they really have any financial gurus left on this board. Willenbrock was kind of your guy. I mean, I know Rick is the treasurer now, but he's numbers-wise, no one's a Willenbrock, okay? Mm-hmm. So losing Willenbrock killed these guys. Mm-hmm. He was free labor on this stuff that he can handle.
Footnote Allan, we call him, because he reads all the little details. Sure.
You are correct. So here's a guy, Donovan, and he knows every downtown player possible. He worked with all these guys, all the little guys, the big guys. McClusker likes him.
So all
this stuff.
Did you think somebody makes him nervous? Why would they do this? Who's he nervous?
Shaking on this. And to me, all the it seems like Jody Bain has been right up his nose on this. And I don't know what, and then she wants that other guy, Larry Lewis or whatever his name, that was one of the other finalists, who if you look through that guy on his LinkedIn or whatever, the guy says he's done work for Town West. Mm. So you're gonna go bang on Durband for some sort of conflict of interest, which I don't think exists. And if it does, please educate me. Please educate me. 790-2040, educate me. If at the same time, the guy if that's the guy she wants, one of the other guys, the guy's already got a real conflict of interest, possibly by working with her through Town West or maybe the same company. I don't know. It's a freaking mess, dude.
It is.
So I'm going to tell you, Donovan has been jobbed by these guys. And if the Rio Nuevo board wants to come tell me something different, bring it.
The sad part is you've offered him in the news publicly, and he works for Councilman Kozaczek. So now he's got career things going on in his future life and world.
Yeah, you guys
don't hire him if you don't.
You guys have jacked with a pretty good guy, and if you got some sort of evidence he's not a pretty good guy, love to see it, kids. WakeUp2Son@gmail.com. Start emailing me the reams of.
You know who we'd love to hear from? Some of the lawyers involved in this. Maybe Larry Hecker could come on, or Bobby Gigino, or Kerry Sylvan, or some of these lawyers that are involved. Kasai Shore. It'd be great to have their side of the story, because there is 2 sides.
There's a whole bunch of lawyers right now who are saying there is no conflict of interest. I've already talked to a couple of myself about this stuff, and they say this is the biggest stretch ever.
Like Willenbrock wasn't a stretch?
It's all a stretch, dude. I hate to give Tia Gloria 30 seconds, but Tia Gloria, you got 30 seconds. So unless you want to hang on to the top of the hour, what do you want to do, girl?
He's really fair. He's very knowledgeable. He's been railroaded. This is just, he is one of those people who does not overpromise. He listens well, and he says, we will consider it, and he will. He will. Integrity and ethics. That's Donovan. What? I'm just shocked.
Yep.
I'm shocked and dismayed.
Well, we're running a break, Gloria. Thank you so much for the phone call. Wake up, Tucson. Wake up, Rio Nuevo.
Isn't this the new Rio Nuevo board kind of acting like the old Rio Nuevo board?
Wake up, Chris. I mean, what do you want? What do you expect? Really?
All right, Rod Pace, CEO.
Miranda Oro Valley, baby.
Rosemont Copper coming up next. We got to get into the business leadership discussion. Wake the hell up, Tucson. You're starting to go down the drain.
1030 KVOI, Cortero, Tucson, 930 KAPR Douglas, and 1240 KJAA Globe, the Voice Radio Network.